Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chip Marino with Equipass.com. I do Ecuador visas, and today we are going to be diving into a bunch of different visa types. So let's start with the retirement visa, also known as the pensioner's visa. Um, this is for people who want to settle in Ecuador who receive a pension from abroad, for example, Social Security, who want to come and stay in Ecuador for 2 years. Um, First thing you're going to need is a color photograph. I recommend getting these taken in Cuenca. The formatting is a little bit weird, and it's easier if you go to a place and get them taken, or just get them taken in Ecuador in general. There's some reformatting tools you can use online. Just don't take them yourself because it could get rejected. Obviously, you need a passport with a validity period of 6 months. Um, if you're from the US, you will need to get an FBI background check. And this is as simple as downloading the fingerprint form, taking your own fingerprints with an ink pad, sending the FBI that fingerprint form and a request for your background check as well as your credit card information. Um, it says here that it's valid for 180 days. Well, once it's issued, you just need to enter Ecuador within that 180 days, and then that timer ends. So if you got it issued in January and you enter by June, that FBI background check will still be valid for your visa process, even after the 6 months have passed, as long as you don't leave Ecuador. You can see here until the applicant's last entry into the country, Ecuador. Okay, you also need a state background check, just a heads up. Um, you have to pay them. The visa application fee is $50, and usually when they issue you the visa, it's $270. The cedula is about $20 as well. You have to submit a document accrediting your retiree status, for example, an apostilled Social Security awards letter, and you have to be earning 3 times the basic salary, which I believe for 2026 will be $486. So 3 times $486 is what you need for income for just yourself. And you will likely need to get that translated by a certified translator and notarized in Ecuador. I would recommend going to ecuadortranslations.com. My site, I have a list of all the certified translators in Ecuador. You can get it done for cheap. Okay, you also need health insurance in Ecuador. And if you're going to be bringing anyone with you, you need an extra $250 in income. By the way, if you are required to show your income on a bank statement, it's easier to use a local Ecuadorian bank as they aren't required to be apostilled, translated, or notarized, whereas international banks are. Okay, how do you apply? You go to this link. To find this website, Google Ecuador GOB Jubilado Visa, and you should be able to get to this link. It wasn't loading for me today, so I have it saved. Okay, and you can save 50% on the fees if you are 65 or older. Not sure how you get that, but it's possible. Okay, let's move on to the digital nomad visa. I've heard some people struggling with this visa because they're asking for contracts, for example, B2B contracts from abroad, really making sure that income is really stable and documented. A lot of digital nomads, maybe you work on Upwork or something and you get a payment from a lot of different people. I don't think that's going to work for the digital nomad visa. Just a heads up, they're kind of looking for like one big contract for thousands of dollars or whatever the income requirement is to prove your income. Once again, photograph, passport, background checks, pay them. Let's look at the special requirements. Okay, they're looking for 3 basic salaries per month for the 3 months prior to the visa application, or a total of 36 basic salaries per year. So you can attach your copies of your international account statements where the income was reflected. And maybe if you are working on Upwork or something and you can show them account statements for many different transactions totaling above 36 basic salaries per year, maybe they will accept you. I've just heard people having trouble with this visa type. Let me know in the comments if anyone's been through this visa. I think it's fairly new and not super popular. Documents proving the visa applicant works or provides services for a foreign employer, client, or company. Okay, that's going to be very difficult if you work on Upwork. Maybe you have more than one client or more than one company. Seems like this is particularly for people who are more like employees rather than entrepreneurs. Um, or you can present documentation proving that you own a company or business registered and domiciled abroad. Um, Looks like it's limited to countries. Okay, you need health insurance as well, and then $250 for other people. Okay, so this visa type is a little bit more complicated. It looks like there's many ways around it, but it's still fairly new. Once again, you can just apply on this link and upload everything. And they have, I believe, 60 days to get back to you after your application. Okay, investor visa. Okay, once again, same requirements as the previous visa: passport photo, criminal check. Um, you do have to show your means of livelihood. Um, I said before, it's easier to use an Ecuadorian bank statement. This is for your deposits every month, showing how much money you make. It is easier to use an Ecuadorian bank statement. They don't need the apostille, translation, or notarization. Can save you some money. And it's easier to get a new bank statement within Ecuador if they ask for an updated bank statement, which they sometimes do. Okay, so you have to make a certificate of deposit into a credit entity recognized in Ecuador. People oftentimes use JEP. It has to have a minimum term of 730 days for an amount equivalent or not less to 100 basic salaries. Okay, and make sure, for example, it's November right now. If you were doing this, make sure you make the amount a little bit higher in case the basic salary increases for the next year. 2025, it's 470. 2026, it will likely be 486. So do the 486. Don't do the 470 times 100 because it could go up and then, yeah. Okay, you could also buy property, invest in an Ecuadorian company, have an investment contract, um, various other ways you can invest in Ecuador. Um, okay, so that's pretty simple. I mean, it's the same thing as the other ones. Usually people will go and deposit into JEP. JEP is great because you can open an account there with just your passport and 2 reference letters from local Ecuadorians attesting to your character. And you can even open a savings account here while you're on your tourist visa. And you do need the savings account to do the CD deposits. So if you're coming to Ecuador on a tourist visa and planning to do the investment visa, open that JEP account as soon as you can. All right, let's look at the next one. The Rentier Visa or the Rentista Visa. Um, this one is pretty much for people who have contracts abroad, like lease agreement, securities, and you're getting income up to 3 basic salaries or higher. So if you have stocks and dividend income, this could be a great option for you. The difference between the Rentista and the retirement visa is that the retirement visa requires the pension income to be permanent, whereas the Rentista visa um, does not require it to be permanent. So stocks work for this, or if you're a landlord back home. And once again, it's kind of the same requirements as all of the other visas. Um, go on this link and you're good. Okay, student resident visa. This is if you are going to school in Ecuador. Registration or admission certificate in an Ecuadorian educational institution, legally accredited by the competent body, which certifies the quality of regular student in basic, secondary, undergrad, or postgrad education, or in institutions teaching the official languages of Ecuador. For example, if you're here at a school. Um, and if you want to renew this visa, you have to submit updated requirements. And once again, we see the same requirements as the previous visa types. Okay, extending your tourist visa. One thing I will tell you for sure is to keep track of how many days you were in Ecuador in the past 365 days. I entered Ecuador in January for 11 days, and I came back in May to stay permanently. And for extending your tourist visa, you have to go between day 80 and 90. It's very, very important. If you go before day 80, you cannot do the process. You go after day 90, you owe Ecuador $470, or next year you'll owe them one basic salary, which I guess next year could be $486. So keep track of your days very carefully. Do not pay the overstay fine. It's terrible. What else? Um, this is for people who required a visa to get into Ecuador, which I believe maybe these countries. If you did not need a special visa to get into Ecuador, you aren't required to present any documents. You just have to go to the immigration office and pay them about $150 to extend your tourist visa. The only thing I can really recommend is to keep track of your days and to do this if you're planning on staying in Ecuador, and maybe even go before the 80 days to make sure that it's all good and you know when to do it. One thing that does suck is you have to go to Banco del Pacifico and wait in line and deposit the money and then go back to the immigration office to prove you deposited the money. And that can be kind of a bummer, but that is how you extend your tourist visa. This is for children who are the children of people who are getting an Ecuador visa and for spouses. Okay, so essentially, if you are a spouse of someone with an Ecuador visa, you have to meet all the regular requirements, um, and you have to show them your marriage certificate. And if you are the child, you have to show them your birth certificate. And marriage certificates and birth certificates have to be apostilled in the country of origin, translated by a certified translator. Once again, EcuadorTranslations.com, and notarized. The notary fee, by the way, is about $18 to $19. Do not let people inflate the notary fee. And then they actually will apply for their visas once the main person finishes their visa process, they apply separately. Okay. Finally, let's talk about getting your permanent residence visa. If you have a temporary visa for 2 years and you have successfully stayed in Ecuador for 21 months without leaving for more than 90 days, you can apply for permanent residency. Once again, you need a photo, you need a valid passport, you have to pay the fee, you have to show your income, you have to get an Ecuadorian criminal record certificate if you're over 18, which is as simple as going online and requesting one. Um, and you have to prove that you have been in Ecuador for 21 months without leaving for more than 90 days. And you can apply for permanent residence in Ecuador. How much is it? It's 50 for the application fee and 225 for your permanent visa. Now, there is one visa type that I have not gone over, and that is the professional visa. Essentially, the professional visa is similar to the past ones with the basic requirements, with the criminal background check. The professional visa only requires one basic salary unit. So you only have to show, for example, for next year, $486 a month in income, but you have to register your bachelor's degree on Cenacit, which is a process which takes arguably longer or as long as the visa process itself. If you are looking to learn how to do that, I have a website, EcuadorCenacit.com. That's SENE SENESCYT. EcuadorCenacit.com, where you can learn how to register your degree with Cenacit for the professional visa. Anyway, I hope this video gave you a pretty good overview of the various visa types. If you want to learn more, I have a ton of content on my site, equipass.com, where you can speak with me directly or just learn about the different visa types. I also have ecuadortranslations.com. If you're doing your visa yourself, you'll need to get many documents translated, and what you can do is you can upload them on this site. This will translate them and give you a professional PDF for $3 per document, and then you can provide that to a translator. I have a list of all the translators in Ecuador. You can provide that to a translator, and instead of charging you up to $25 a page, they'll charge you only $12 for the whole document, which will save you a ton of money. And then, like I said, the notary fee is only $18 or $19. You can go with them to the notary or just pay them up front and have them do it. But this will save you a ton of money if you're doing your Ecuador visa yourself, or if you want professional assistance, come to equipass.com. We can help you get everything done for any type of Ecuador visa. Come to Ecuador, come move to paradise. I hope this video gave you a better idea of the different visa types available in Ecuador in 2026. And feel free to DM me if you have any questions. Peace out.